starting. So let's jump into the first best of 3 of the day. It's Chalet to kick things off. Will this series go the expected way, or is there potentially a curveball in store?
I mean, I'd like to see a curveball. I'd like this to be close, to be very interesting. Good plays, good siege. That's what we want to see from this. I think that we don't want to come into this with negativity. We want to try and see, for especially Be My Enemy. Like, we're talking about essentially a tier 2 team that's made tier 1. So you're not, when you kind of have it in that view, you're not expecting absolute fireworks. And for X36, X-E36, which is LFO No Name, yes, they've been in Pro League, but they've never been the number one heavy hitters. They've always kind of just been middle of the pack. And so this could be a changing of the guards. If Be My Enemy come out today and knock these guys out of kickoff, that's a changing of the guards kind of moment, which is really healthy and really good for APAC North. They'll start on defense for Be My Enemy. I think that's a solid basis to start on when it comes to Chalet, as we've had the bans as well. We can get underway. Glaz, Capital, Clash, and Azami banned out. This is a do or die elimination game. You lose this, you are out of kickoff.
In terms of the implications as well, the winner of this match will take on Scars. And I think if there's a world in which we do see a 2-0 in favor of LFO No Name, that might set the stage for actually a fairly competitive match, where it's one where I would be entering, again, dependent on a strong LFO result here, where I wouldn't be penciling Scars in as the firmest of favorites. I think there could actually be something in that matchup. We've seen Scars sometimes in these kind of big moments, especially recently, can find themselves in a bit of trouble. So I think that's how I'm framing this matchup. LFO, if they can get the job done here confidently, smash their way through this 2-0, then that Scars matchup to wrap the day, I think could be very, very, very intriguing. So that's at least my hope, if it is to go that way. But that's the beauty of this series. If it flips the other way, for instance, and Be My Enemy shows some strength, then that too is also going to be fun to watch. Opening kill though in favor of LFO. Good work from Jin there on the Blackbeard, getting some value on the Library Repel. The bans as well to mention for this first half: Glaz, Capital, Clash, and Azami.
Jinem goes down though as soon as we switch away. JV63 is on the board. The Wamai gets rid of the Blackbeard, so even after having that opening death, Be My Enemy are at least able to even things up pretty quickly. And by getting rid of the Blackbeard, it's a helping hand for the defense to not have to deal with that shield pushing in towards site later on in the round. I think the first couple of rounds are going to really determine the confidence levels for Be My Enemy, as Mugi shuts down JV63. Push in from Akuzu's lovely over towards top library stairs. Goppy wasn't ready for it. I think he was actually looking down the stairs at that time. Gets caught, and suddenly 2-player advantage for LFO No Name, just like that. It can be so quick, especially on Chalet.
So is there a bit of fight back then in this round? Minute 20 still remaining on the clock, and LFO being drone? Disciplined. Yeah. He did deal with it, didn't he?
Yeah, I can't say I see that all that often. That might be the first time I've seen that. There's still a Nitro Cell for Karamomo. He's going to be the only one that can probably win this round right now, for all the Marimo's by himself over towards Piano. Over towards Ego, droned out. Koromomo's under the pump. He can feel it, but he gets himself into a good spot to deny Mugi on the entry back in through big window. 30 seconds, still got that Nitro, so if they do get to the half wall, he is in a position. Peaks doesn't win the battle though. Yu able to get the kill. And in the end, it is LFO No Name that will kick things off with the opening round.
Yeah, pretty dominant from start to finish there, spearheaded over towards that library side of the map. I anticipate that we're probably going to see the Blackbeard leveraged quite a bit in these first few rounds. It may then pose the question of if it is to be banned going forward. So I wasn't actually on rappel there initially. Straight wallbang in through bar. And then able to snowball that attack onwards. Goppy got caught out over towards library stairs. And there was a decent amount of fight on the site. it must be said, but just the ability for LFO to flood overwhelmed and win out those trades was clearly their easiest path forward, and they're able to convert over to Bar for round number 2. Blackbeard in play this time out, and the Blackbeard, so double shield play from the attack, probably in a way, probably in an attempt to try and wrangle map control with a little bit more control.
I think the good news for LFO No Name in that round was just their ability to get into the building, and when they got into the building, they were getting kills. You saw the entry, top library stairs, kill. You see the ability to be able to take space then off of that, and then they're starting to surround the site. You get to 4-on-2, so you got the numbers, puts pressure on the last two around Office and Piano. And Merimo maybe sensing an opportunity. Jinham and Malmo both playing shield this round, so they're doubling down on the shield play. We saw the Blackbeard in the previous round. Now they bring the Monty as well before entry over towards Trophy, which Jinham has been able to get himself in successfully. And then Malmo over towards the top end. Solar entry successful. So sweep across attempt now for LFO No Name. Be My Enemy will keep this rather compact. JV63 trying to make a bit of early contact and also get a bit of information, of which now, well, they can ascertain pretty quickly. Yeah, this is just a sweep across hit. Koromomo can get some intel on the pulse as well. So far looking to be a rather default round.
And so the info gathering here for the map sweep has been pretty efficient from LFO. I will say I'm a little bit concerned about the threat that the pulse below may present, especially for the flank opportunity as well, that it looks like they may position. Don't, of course, discount the Nitro down below as this attack stacks through Office. And even if the Nitro doesn't land, there's really good information on offer here. Bit of patience may be required to find a kill from below, but in the meantime, can relay that information across to the anchors over towards Library Stairs and Mez.
Ooh. Oh, no, you can't. Oh, my goodness. He's very, very fortunate. JV63. I think he just kind of panicked in that situation, because you don't want to push forward and then you reveal your head and you potentially lose your life. But then if you push back into the frag grenade, well, you might be dead anyway. Lucky to get away with that. And to be honest, now 5v5, under a minute left. Be My Enemy are treading water, but they're actually staying afloat. Yoshiko, nice position in bar as well to be able to watch that hatch. Momo goes down to Akuzu. Nitrocell does connect, so the trade is instant. Yoshiko wanting to try and get this Nitrocell up through the hatch, but they're at the point now where LFO No Name aren't just going to be sitting around. They're going to be now going for this push. What a... Oh, hang on, what? How does Akuzu win that battle? 1 HP. And suddenly LFO No Name with the extra player advantage heading into the last 20 seconds. Over in Barstock, his Goppy doesn't have a whole lot to really help out. Yoshiko's got to be the one over towards Bar to try and deter them from pushing in, but he just gets swarmed in from behind. JV63 can't clutch it. Maru runs riot with the shield. LFO No Name 2-0 up.
Wow. I'm still trying to comprehend how Akuzu wins that fight over towards Kitchen, and it was actually a really important one for maintaining that pressure over towards Dining side. You no doubt got a little bit fortunate to beat the swing. But then the nail in the coffin again was the Blackbeard late round. It's proven to be quite devastating in the couple of rounds we've seen so far, and I think there's a very strong chance it may get banned out eventually after round number 3. Right here. What? That was a wild kill. And then Insight now able to get to work. Not a whole lot the defense could do in trying to recapture the site. It's 2 rounds now in favor of LFO, and the early complexion of this map is very much a case of LFO looking as strong in this matchup as we expected.
Yeah, but I think also in the 2 rounds that we've seen, there's been glimpses for Be My Enemy where they can probably steal a round or 2 with a bit more composure, with a bit more practice, a bit more experience. I've kind of always said with APL, raw mechanics has never really been the issue for the overall wider region. And you can see that with Weibo. Weibo, and to a degree, some of the OS teams in the past have shown once you can find a way to combine those raw mechanics with good strategy and experience, you can actually compete with a lot of the good teams internationally. And so that's always been the defining factor. And Be My Enemy are just kind of at the very low end of that, where, yeah, mechanically they're not really bad, but you need to just deal with more of these game day situations. Back onto the one shield setup for LFO No Name. They bring the Amaru this round too with the Ying Finker. A lot of this lineup does indicate quick hit on the top floor. Candela's already thrown in from Yu. Oh, Kuzu just gets caught though. Well, Maui does get the immediate trade, so at least they're all on the same page. They're all in sync in terms of what they want to do. Maui, though, is inside. He's in dining, and Jinim as well, getting the plant down. Marimo's trying to react to double window pressure as Jinim will get this plant down successfully. Too much focus on the top floor for Be My Enemy. It's a lovely little double pinch here. They put repel pressure on the windows upstairs. They also then sent 2 into dining. They take dining. They get plant down. And they've still got outside pressure to deny this plant. This is a wonderful set play from LFO No Name, and Be My Enemy don't know how to react to it.
It looks like, again, the Blackbeard is going to be the one to close out the round.
That is some good siege.
That was nice. Amazing. Really good routing into the site, but I think even more impressively was the ability to really leverage some of the strengths that you can exploit, or I guess weaknesses you can exploit on the side of defense on Chalet, which is there's so many exterior windows, whether it be above or below, where you can cut off the retake from sight. And we saw glimpses of that back in round number 2, but round 3, especially on that side, we saw it exploited so well. That was a well-deserved round from LFO, their cleanest yet. Be My Enemy now with an opportunity to ban out. I was thinking maybe the Blackbeard, but they're confident they can deal with it. It's the Grim instead. And they'll now take the next 60 seconds with their timeout to discuss what the game plan is going forward for the remainder of this half.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one round where they got absolutely destroyed, right? The first 2 rounds, and this is where when you're on this team, you've got to try and find the positive angle on things. You can't just be like, we're getting smashed, this is going wrong. These are all the negatives. Competitive in the first 2 rounds, and then the 3rd round, they just hit us with a really sick play. A lovely little strategy play where they just go fast-paced aggression, dump Candela's up above. They're essentially indicating to Be My Enemy, we're hitting above, we want to clear top down very quickly. But they've also sent 2 in towards dining. Quick play with the Amaru, follow up with the Finca through West Main. And it was a lovely little double split action that we don't see all that often, especially in the APAC region, and just executed perfectly. And so, like, it's less to do with Be My Enemy and more to do with what we saw from LFO No Name. Hey, Yoshiko was quick to react. He hits that shot, but he's also the only one that's there then. So he gets traded. He got 1 on site because your focus typically on kitchen dining is to hold bodies up above, right? You want to defend the vert. That's fine. That's a normal strategy. But then LFO No Name, I think we can exploit this. We'll go very quick. Hatch from the bottom. I might lose my life. There's the trade from the Finca. Plank goes down. Done. And then you've still got the pressure that was created from above. So I do wonder what their timeout really was spoken about, because I wouldn't put too much focus on that particular round, because that particular round you break down in VOD review session, not mid-match day.
Yeah.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, I suppose we will have to wait and see as we return to the top floor for the 4th round. And it feels like it's kind of crunch time in this initial map. Be My Enemy need to start showing something, some level of competitiveness here, if Chalet is to be even in the realm of winnable. LFO No Name, it's about keeping it consistent here, and of course not getting too far ahead of themselves. Blackbeard dropped in this round, but the Monty to join in on the action. It's a library corner extension on the catch here for JV63. Deployable shield to play behind, and some discs, no doubt, to support his position. The Roteros from UU are going to be key. And so JV's proactive, deals with the first. Still 3 remains, though. If anything, this is a good position for the defense to sink time. Another Rotero falls. And even if he doesn't deal with this utility, JV is doing a good job so far. But there we go. Rotero sneaks through. JV63 forced out into the line of sight of Mugi. That's a great clear from LFO. Backed up with a 2nd kill from Mao, and it's a 5 versus 3.
Yeah, and this is where you've got to get the response, and they do. Goppy gets rid of Maui, shuts him down. He's been really, really impactful for LFO No Name so far. So that's a big kill. Mugi and Akuzu have been fragging too. They're still alive, 3v4, and it's consistently Be My Enemy. Down a player or down 2 players, always on the back foot. Got to try and find a way to get more on the front foot. I know that they've had the opening kill in the previous round, but that didn't really count, if I'm going to be honest, considering that it was immediately traded anyway. They've got to try and find a way here in the close of this half, and certainly then going into the second half, just finding a couple more early picks so you're not constantly down in a disadvantaged position. So much harder for the lesser experienced team to claw these sort of rounds back. It was flipped the other way and you had an experienced team. Yeah, they can do it. No, that's not going to help. Marimo not only dies to Akuzu, but he took Goppy with him, and this round's done. 4-0 will be on the cards. Nitroself and Chromomo does get some damage into Jenim. Akuzu's there for help, and LFO No Name have made it 2 rounds straight now where they've put the foot down. This is what we wanted to see from them. This is what we were talking about, guys, pre-match. They need to be ruthless. First 2 rounds a little bit competitive. The next 2 rounds, dominant.
Yeah, it feels like they're getting better with age here on Chalet so far. Just, I think I've been most impressed with the early portions of these rounds and the platform that they've been able to set themselves up with. Last round, a good example where they were pretty patient and disciplined in being able to deal with the library clear here with the Rotero. Replay right on cue, and then bang! It's straight into the line of sight of Mugi, who's in a good position, able to land the shots. And then from there, they're able to compound this pressure so nicely on attack. They're playing as a bit of a hive mind at the moment, which on most maps is typically pretty strong, but I think they're demonstrating on Chalet just how brutal it can be for the defense, who are trying their best to fight for map control, but they're just not being allowed. The attack is suffocating them really nicely. Probably a lack of support maybe to some of these lurkers / roamers on the defense. Maybe with a bit more support, it would be a bit more difficult for the attack to break down the first sort of half of the round, but you can kind of only play with what is up against you, and I think LFO are doing a good job of that at the moment.
Information for Korimomo. But they've got to try and find a way to play off this early information. You bring in the polls. Can you get Nitrocell kills early? Can relay intel over to others? You're playing bar games this site where you're probably going to be in pretty static positions. Hard to really do a whole lot. JV63 last time played this role towards Piano. And he's just shooting into a shield though most of the time, and that's actually been a really good positive for LFO No Name. Like, we see a lot of teams play shields naturally, very strong. I don't always use it the right way. I mean, LFO No Name, every time they brought shields into the round, they're always the first contact. They're always the first one in. They're always the first one getting information, pushing, taking space, being in the right positions. Like, the shield play from LFO No Name has been really solid.
Yeah, it's just been super efficient. And it's not just the shields and what they're doing in isolation, but more so how the rest of the team's then playing around that pressure. Speaking of, it's now the opening kill to LFO. Copy to fall this time out, 1-5, and Akuzu able to double down. Don't blame JV63 there all too much. He's trying to fight back, even out the man count. It's not the worst fight you can take, but it was risky. And it now puts so much more pressure on this defense, who aren't backing down. They're continuing to re-peak, but LFO have their number. They have good information, and they have so much time now on their hands.
It's the right attitude. The execution's clearly off for Be My Enemy, but it's the right attitude. You lose a couple of players, you need to bring the numbers back. Otherwise, you're just going to get absolutely swarmed on site. You can't play bar games in a 5v2 or a 4v2 and expect to win it. It's going to be very difficult. You're just going to get completely outnumbered. A lot of close angles. Unfortunately, they're going to be 5-0 down. And as this match has progressed in the first half, it's gotten probably worse and worse for Be My Enemy, but it's gotten better and better for LFO No Name. They've just really switched on. They look really locked in. They're getting the job done. They're making no mistakes. They're playing clinical siege, good shield play. They're winning all of the early fights. They're getting early advantages, but they're making the most of it. There's nothing they're doing wrong. And for Be My Enemy, I think this is, again, a case of you can clearly see the cogs turning and what they want to try and do and how they want to try and play. Their opposition's just a bit better at the moment.
Yeah. Again, that swing right there from JV, you win that. As things start to stabilize, there's less risk than having to be taken by others off-site who are, playing incredibly low percentage plays, but as you're alluding to, they don't really have another option because of just how cleanly these attacks have been. So full credit to LFO. It is their map pick. So take this with some grain of salt, but I think, as we alluded to before, right, it's such a staple map pool selection that, like, I don't think it's really all that impactful. You should be fairly competent across all 3 of these maps. So I don't know what that really says about Clubhouse going forward. I think LFO will still be in a very commanding position, and if they can actually play like a similar structure to this with their attacks and leverage shields as well on Clubhouse, I don't really see it playing out all that differently. They are just playing really well at the moment. So we'll see how they go here in the final round of the half. If they can have a perfect half, it's down to basement for the first time here on Shallow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way back from here. Final round of the half. Can they get on the board? Try and take at least something positive into the second half. Unfortunately for Be My Enemy, there's been a lot of these kind of 7-1s and 7-2s. Marimo's not done anywhere near as much damage as I actually thought he was about to do, or maybe should have done, onto Yu. I think this is the one aspect of this half that's pretty evident round after round, is just the way that they're positioning and playing. In the early portion of the rounds, they look very passive, and then they lose a player, and then they get aggressive. I want to see them try and, at a 5v5, bring a little bit more of that aggression defensively. Yeah, so here you go. You've lost copy. Good catch. There's the sweep. That's literally, yeah, there's the repeat. And it happens every single time. It's like they wait for someone to die to then be like, oh, we need to get the trade. We need to like actually do something now. That's fixable stuff. That's fixable stuff with time.
Yeah. To be fair, like some of the dislodges we're seeing from the attacks have been really clinical, where they're not leaving any room for the defense to really reposition. It's forcing these then awkward trade attempts, and they've been on their toes, LFO, and expecting that and being able to shut it down. Minute 20 on the clock. JV really the last hope here for the defense in being able to maybe execute some kind of flank. The anchor falls with another aggressive peak. LFO no name on the verge of a perfect half.
And deservedly so. Yeah, they've been really clinical, putting the foot down, giving no real opportunities to Be My Enemy. Sometimes you see in these kind of... Oh, nice shot from Aramo to Maui. He's going to give himself every opportunity now in the 1v3. If the plant is going to go down, he'll
deny.
Try. I don't think so. He's not getting down fireplace stairs. Oh, he does hit the headshot into Yu. Tell you what, Marimo's done very well. Hedgehab just halts him momentarily. Peek over from the blue hallway. And then, yeah, done. 6-0. LFO, no name, have already got 6 map points heading into the break.
Hey Apex Siege fans. With Siege's 10-year anniversary behind us and looking at the 10 years ahead, we're making some very exciting changes to the APAC Tier 2 ecosystem that will better unify what is already the most exciting league region in the world. Introducing the APL Challenger Circuit. Let's start with our format. All teams will compete in an online best-of-1 single elimination bracket with ping. Just kidding. The APL Challenger Circuit is composed of the OCE Rivals, the SEA Bootcamp Community Series, and North Rebellion. Each tournament will have 2 stages, with Stage 1 starting in May and Stage 2 starting in August. Each stage is broken down into 3 distinct phases. Let's start with Phase 1, Play-ins. Play-ins are comprised of 4 single elimination best-of-1 play days with best-of-3 qualification games. Each day will qualify 2 teams. Get knocked out? It's no stress. You can compete in every play-in day until you qualify. Next up, you ask? The regular stage will take our 8 qualified teams from play-ins and put them up against each other in a best-of-1 single round robin to decide who are our top 4 teams per region. Finally, our stages culminate in a 4-team double elimination best-of-3 bracket to decide who will be the stage's champion and take home the lion's share of the prize pool and perhaps, more importantly, Challenger Circuit points. What are Challenger Circuit points, you ask? These points are the lifeblood of the APL Challenger circuit and will be used to qualify teams into the Challenger Series in 2027, where teams will have the opportunity to qualify into the APL, as well as the culmination of APL Challenger circuit, the Gauntlet in OCE, the Elite Community Series in SEA, and the Rebellion Finals in North. So what are you waiting for? Start your path to pro now and sign up for the Stage 1 play-ins and start your ascendancy to becoming pro.
So we return to what has become a bloodbath. LFO, no name, 6-0 up on the first map of this series. Be My Enemy just could not get anything going on the defense of Chalet Guz, and so now finding themselves in a rather deep hole.
Yeah, that's one way to describe it. They'll have to try and dig their way back out, but unfortunately here on Chalet, I think the damage is already done. My sights are pretty much already set on Clubhouse, and I can't help but feel that for Be My Enemy, it may well be the same. We'll wait and see, though, if they could show maybe a little bit of fight on attack, but yeah, it should basically be a done deal at this point. The bans for the second half, Denari, Malusi, and I didn't quite get to see the rest, but what we did see was a dominant first half, and here's a couple of replays from the final round of said half, where again, early pick goes the way of LFO. We see an immediate trade attempt that falls astray for Be My Enemy. Then the remaining three are forced to make plays of desperation, and ultimately they ran out of luck. So let's jump in then to the second half. Grim and Deimos also taken out, and it's Bar the first side of choice.
Yeah, I mean, you learn the most from your losses. You gain a lot from these sort of games. The unfortunate reality, though, is this is not just like a play day one at groups where you can spend the rest of the week going over about how did we lose this, where did things go wrong. Can you Be My Enemy? They really should have come into this kickoff stage knowing full well this is going to be a learning opportunity. We're probably going to lose, and we're going to lose badly. And how are we going to learn from that so that we're better for stage one, more competitive for stage one? So that's my hope. I mean, I got no idea if that's what their mindset was coming into this. But we framed it pretty clearly pre-match. This should be ruthless from LFO No Name. They beat Vite 7-1, 7-2 in the Challenger Series, who then went on and beat Be My Enemy. Akuzu, well, the patience pays off. Goppy's dead. No Monty. Good little play over towards Solar. And again, it's those little instances, guys, where it's just about check your corners, check your angles, be vigilant, always making sure you're aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, there's an element of disrespect there from LFO going for that kind of play, but against an inexperienced roster, that position can frequently work. And so good start for LFO. Give themselves, again, another strong platform to play off. That's now 6 out of the 7 rounds where they have gotten the opening kill. And evidently, they've been able to convert on every one of those opportunities so far. Bit of map control in the meantime for Be My Enemy. They're quite a distance away from the site. You'd be remiss to think that the objective was bedroom, but not the case. It is, of course, bar. And LFO are going to look to bunker down on site, then go for the 2-prong hold above Mez and Library Stairs with some utility to aid. Habitat bolts being prepped here from Be My Enemy. We'll see if that's able to flush out some of this defense, maybe force them back towards side and free up the clear above. And it seems like that has been successful. So not the absolute worst case scenario for attack, but the lack of firepower, being one player down late round here with 60 seconds on the clock, it could prove quite costly.
Opening kills, by the way, for the entire match, it's 6-1. I mean, that's a very damning statistic. And the one opening kill for Be My Enemy was instantly traded. You think back to the kitchen dining rush round from LFO No Name, when they got planned down at the 2-minute mark. So you can't even find a lot of solace in that. And Yoshiko, well, if he had to just been a little bit more patient, maybe you could have got the opportunity to get that kill. JB63, it's actually Jidam that finds a kill. That's a lovely entry vault kill from JB63, but he's by himself now, and it's 7-0 territory. I mean, this has been an absolute demolition job on Chalet from LFO No Name. JB63 will get himself his 4th kill, pushes forward with the pistol. Mugi shuts him down. It is a clean sweep. Wonderful start for LFO No Name on their quest in this lower bracket. They got a big day potentially ahead of them, Guz. That's one way to speed it up.
Yeah, absolutely. That was that was very, 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 very one-sided, but full credit. They played exceptionally well and gave their opposition very little room for error. If that happens over on Clubhouse, this could be a swift 2-0.
Mungkin itulah cara saya mendapatkan ketenangan, mendapatkan kesenangan, kesedihan, semua ada. Semua emosi saya ada bersama musik. Jadi menurut saya musik adalah segalanya. Sangat ingin punya salah satu anaknya untuk menjadi seorang penyanyi. Jadi setelah saya selesai dengan pro career, lanjut menjadi penyanyi. Peran musik dan TikTok itu sangat besar bagi saya.
そうですね、プレッシャーもそうですね、やっぱファンの人からの期待だったり、自分自身のパフォーマンスがすごい良かったんで、それのプレッシャーだったりとか、やっぱ日本市場やっぱ盛り上げたいっていうのがすごい大きかったんで、それに対してのプレッシャーで、楽しみ方が分からなくなっちゃって、そこからすごい迷走しちゃいましたね。そうですね、自分たちが RJL っていうリーグの昇格戦で負けて、そこで結構本当に信じられないぐらい落ち込んだんですけど、やっぱその RJC がきっかけでまだ戦いたいっていう気持ちと、プロで世界に行ってみたいっていう気持ちがすごい高くなって、本当にそういう気持ちでいっぱいで、もう仕事なんかもうすぐ辞めようって当時すごく思って RJC 終わった後で、いざ本当に戦国に行けるってなった時はすごい嬉しい気持ちもあったし、ワクワクする気持ちっていうか、また本当その気持ちが強くありましたね。やっぱり違うなって思ったのはチームの質もそうですし、やっぱコミュニケーション面だったりチーム力が明らかに自分たちがあるなっていうのがあって、やっぱ自分たちは思ってることを言い合える中なんで、やっぱそれに比べてやっぱ他のプロチーム入ってみたりとかいろいろ思ったのが、やっぱ内に秘めてるものがやっぱみんなあって、こういう時こうした方がいいんじゃないみたいのを口論になるのが嫌であんま言わなかったりと。でも自分たちはすごいそれを口論になってずっと夜まで反省会するくらい言い合える仲だったんで、そこのやっぱチーム力で差が出たのかなと思いました。そうですね、戦国ゲーミングには当時仲良かった白猫選手っていうのがいて、それに声かけてもらったのプラス自分からレイチル選手に連絡して入れてもらえないかっていうのを連絡しました。そうですね、ゼプト時代はなんていうのかな、もう本当に家族って言ったらあれですけど、本当になんて難しいな、本当に家族みたいな感じっていうのがゼプトで、戦国は本当友達と楽しくゲームやってるって言ったらあれですけど、本当に楽しく一緒にやってたみたいな感じですね、友達とみたいな。そうですね、やっぱ前と変わらず言いたいことも言える中で、そんな隠したりっていうか、言い合いになるの嫌だから言うのやめようっていうのもないし、本当に今のスカーズも家族みたいな感じですごいやりやすく言いたいことも言える中なんで、改善点を見つけたらすぐ話し合いしたりみたいな感じですね。
they've come out windmilling like an Englishman looking for a scrap. But talking of a scrap, Pino!
If he goes uncontested and the kick goes cold, that'll be devastating. The grenade goes through, that's the swing! Cyber and Bullet are able to get one apiece with the kit so far away, and Canadian down upstairs. Cyber, wow, that was special.
It's a 1 versus 3 to hold, and they're pushing him from behind. He's found one. He's got to get the vertical as well. They get pulled off Tim. We're down to the last 3 or 4 seconds. Ryder's got another. He's held on. He's going to do it. And PSG take the 2-1 win.
Both players spotted, but the res can be made successfully.
Oh, got another one for Solotov. Information from the bees. It goes in. Shotgun. Sevens! They cement themselves as one of the greatest of all time.
He's starting to get cooked alive, Ollie, but he's using the stim pistols. Look at this from the dock. Surely not. Brilliant! That's play of the year in my book. Plays the game, hits the old body, doesn't quite catch it. There's the impact.
He gets it!
There's the dash! He doesn't have the confirmation. He's going back. He's not quite sure. He
Neski gotta go.
A few seconds. Stick it, Ness. Stick it.
This is an angle that he might be able to contest. No, unfortunately, he takes just a bit of damage there. A walk, I guess, the second one. Eclipse, though, will get one, turning it into a 2v2. Now they push it on the side. The Bandit will lose out on this. Eclipse, the last alive on the Ella. He spots the head and takes him down. The ace for Waka.
He will down BC. Canadian positioning to pick up, but that's going to result in a double nade from Vertical. That's 4 for him in the round. Necrox, the final defender against Vertical. The ace, absolute domination.
You believe in magic, Michael! Team 1 does as they win the Mexico Major.
Hello everyone, I'm Rips96 and I play for Weibo Gaming in APL.
Hello, I speak easy.
He gets it just in time! It's no time remaining! It is Impact Norman! They are the best that this region has got to offer!
Well, LFO, no name, far too good. The first 2 rounds, a little bit competitive, and then they just kind of put the foot down and got busy with it, guys. To be honest, be my enemy. It never looked likely after the first 2 rounds.
No, honestly, I don't really know how much more to add there. I think in terms of a more technical perspective, if you're breaking down sort of the round-to-round nature, a lot of it was early round. LFO would be fairly composed. There were a couple of rushes here or there, but most of the time they would be fairly composed. They'd be able to isolate one defender on some kind of holdout. So a really good example there in round 4. Cut them off. And then the common trend that we saw was Be My Enemy would wait for that to happen, wait for a player to fall. Then they would immediately respond, try to aggress, try and find a trade, and every single time, essentially, LFO would be ready, they would be waiting, they would find that second kill, they would often compound it into a third kill, and then they were able to just dominate these rounds consecutively. The entry was amazing, the mid round was really good in shutting down the re-aggress, and then their late round with things like shields, etc., was really, really clean in being able to lock out these rounds as well. There were very few instances where it looked remotely like they were going to lose a round. So Chalet was incredible. It was their map selection, but I think, as I was kind of alluding to during that map, given the nature of the veto, these are very long-standing maps in the pool. I don't really think it changes the complexion all that much going forward. I think that this series, we're going to walk away with the result that we probably expected, and maybe to a different extreme where it's even more one-sided than we kind of anticipated. We thought that LFO were going to do well in this series, but if they walk away with 2 dominant maps, that does make that potential matchup then against Scars very, very interesting if these guys are in good form today.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you kind of take that form from this match. Yes, it maybe goes on ice a little bit throughout the day, so you kind of wait then for your game later, but you're already warmed up, you're already ready to go, and maybe a fast start against Scars could be enough to see them take that series. We'll have to wait, but obviously they're not done just yet. Clubhouse coming up. The bad news, though, for Be My Enemies, even if it is their map pick, guys, they lost it to D+ last week, 7-1. Like, they also got absolutely decimated on Club. Now, it may change a little bit because obviously LFO No Name might not be to the same pedigree clearly as a D+, but nevertheless, they also start on defense. So LFO No Name, clean sweep Chalet, 7-0. They now go defense Club to begin in the first half. It might be further pain for Be My Enemy unless they can steal an early attacking round or two.
Yeah, it could well be the case. And again, to reiterate on Chalet, that dominant streak that they were able to establish, they started out on attack. So I don't think I'm particularly concerned about their ability to attack, even on a map with a different dynamic like Clubhouse, because they showed such good structure back on Chalet. And you're right, the fact that they now have the comfortability of defense to begin here as well, where they're going to, where on the flip side, Can You Be My Enemy, they're the ones that now need to show the initiation and the confidence. They've just been beaten down 7-0. And so having that initiative, having that confidence doesn't really go hand in hand with the map 1 results. So I think the most important thing for them is just going to be to try and mentally erase that first map, pretend it didn't really happen. You might take learnings from that in future, but I think for now, in the immediate aftermath, it's about just identifying that you need clear headspace. Let's play confidently. We don't really have much to lose really at this point, so let's just give it everything we have.
We're going to look at a little player highlight while we do wait for the second map to get ready. Akuzu was dominant. I mean, but who really wasn't for LFO No Name on Chalet? You could have probably had an individual highlight package for just about everyone inside of the server. But a 4KD, I don't know what a 1 cost is. I'm assuming it's a 100% cost, with 5 multi-kills as well for Akuzu. He ended up with a 196 EPS, guys. 13-3, went 4-1 on entry, and yeah, it was 100% cost, and had the 2 multi-kill rounds as well. Dominant performance, but again, I think it's a symptom of the entire team was dominant. It's a lot easier to perform at that kind of level when you've got all 5 players performing at that level.
Yeah, he wasn't the only player on 100% cost either. 3 members total, so Mugi and Jin were leading that charge with triple-digit cost numbers, and the entire team was playing so well. Only Yu under 100 APS, he was still at 83, and he was doing a lot of supportive work anyway. His util was pretty good, so yeah, a well-rounded team effort. Akuzu gets the plaudits with the highest numbers, but it's the kind of matchup where the entire team was in sync, doing their job correctly, and he was kind of the one putting himself in the most favorable positions to benefit from the good teamwork that they had on offer there in Chalet.
Yeah. As we move into Clubhouse, this is where, as you said, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You need to just kind of reset very quickly. If you are getting 7-0, 7-1, maybe even 7-2, you can't really put too much emphasis on what happened on that first map other than, damn, we got to pick it up. On the flip side, though, for LFO No Name, they can't now go into Clubhouse and think, oh, well, we kind of got this one in the bag. We're so much better than, look how dominant we were in Chalet. We'll just kind of go cruise control. We'll start to make hero plays. We'll start to do silly things. They need to stay locked in and not give their opponent any kind of look in, because they are going to be playing again later today. We spoke about that form factor, and they want to try and keep that at the highest level possible, even here on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if anything, yes, you're treating it as an official. Yes, you want to get the job done and maybe not reveal all too much, but equally, I'd just be treating this map as an opportunity to really refine things. It doesn't get easier for them from this point onwards, whether it be today or the bracket going forward if they are to progress. So let's see if they can get the job done in a clean 2-0 as we load into Club.
We load into Club, as I said, clean 2-0. Do we get a 14-0? Could be on the could be on the cards. Did we end up having one the other day? I think it was. I remember having a discussion, I think, on the O's broadcast pertaining to back-to-back 7-0s. I think it might be one of the Enterprise games. I don't think they actually got there in the end, but
no.
I don't know. I have the feeling coming into Club, it's not going to be the case. Be My Enemy have had beatdowns. Challenger Series, started Pro League, here for Kickoff. But they've always been able to kind of manage at least a round or 2 at minimum. The 7-0 here that we just saw before is certainly not completely the common angle for them in their big losses. It's usually at least stealing a round or 2. The downside, as I said, though, is that they're going to be starting on the attack first up on Club, which is not always the easiest thing. They had a 5-1 half against D+, so they got at least 1 attacking round in that half against D+, and this is not D+ in terms of LFO No Name. So I still think a 2-4 half wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility, and that would be typically par for the course when it comes to Clubhouse. And I almost consider that a win for Be My Enemy in this first half, if they can at least get 2 attacking rounds. Like, that sets them up going into the second half nicely.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a pretty realistic benchmark. Basement for the first site, and the bands as follows: Kaid, Mute, Grim, and Thermite. So we're not going to see the double down from Hard Breach on the side of defense. And I guess with the kite and the mute band out as well, it will probably offset the thermite band quite nicely here for the attack. And we immediately see the pivot into the Habana as primary hard breach and Deimos with secondary, so they shouldn't have too many issues, particularly pertaining to basement floor, so hatch heavy. And with no Kaid, it makes it very, very difficult. You can impact Trick Kitchen to an extent, but even that's pretty limited in scope. But let's see. Be My Enemy, we need to see confidence, we need to see initiative. They can't be stalling out. They can't be waiting for their opposition to be the ones to make the first move, like on Chalet when they were defending. They'd sort of sit back, wait for the attack to come to them, and then go for the trade attempt. It's not going to work like that. Attacking into Clubhouse, you always need to be the one that's trying to dictate the tempo and the pace and the movement of the defense. So we'll see if they're able to cook. Starting out top floor here for the full clear down.
We saw a couple of, well, we saw not too many cheeky plays on defense for LFO No Name. They had the single round, but you think back to that solar kill, just the little lurk, get rid of the shield. This is what I was kind of alluding to coming into this. They got to make sure they still kind of stay locked in. Having a cheeky play here or there is fine. Obviously, Mugi over towards storage at the moment. You know, that's kind of a play I keep my eye on. I think, does he get the license to push out of storage and go push, you know, through bar or kitchen and try and maybe catch them in the back? I would imagine if you want to keep it safe, he just stays there. It is droned as well. So they've got flank watch drones in place, Be My Enemy. Just over a minute left. Kitchen control, open up the hatches. And Mugi is heading back down to basement. So at the very least for LFO No Name, they are keeping this rather composed defensively, not trying to do too much even after the result that they had on the first map.
60 seconds, 5 versus 5, but as I say that, Jin aggressive through dirt. The defense allowed to dictate the tempo in. There's no ability for that quick response from the attack. Flood through blue though, so triple stack from Be My Enemy. High risk, especially into that Goyo and the smoke, who has 3 gas babes available. I don't fancy the chances of the attack. It feels like they're just walking into a kill box at this point. 30 seconds, and there's not really many options unless the Deimos can activate. Maybe JV can hit the backstab through dirt.
And it goes back to what I was saying on Chalet, though. The shield play from LFO No Name was just so good, so clinical. And Goppy's got to be the one that's either first death or helping out the attackers get in towards the site. You can't be losing Koromomo and Marimo first. A nice little clear over towards blue from Yoshiko. Goppy does go down eventually. Yoshiko almost got a second one here as well. The shield, just the nuisance. In the end, pretty comfortable for LFO No Name, but there was a tiny fight back from Be My Enemy at the end, even after losing 2 players early on. 3v5 pushing into Church Arsenal. I mean, it's just so incredibly difficult. They at least tried to make it messy, which I think they did. LFO No Name, though, hold on pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I totally agree with your point in terms of they need to leverage the shield play correctly. There's too many fights being taken here before Goppy's in any kind of position to pressure. There's at least 2 or 3 fights taken where the shield's stalled out by utility or repositioning or in the back line. Needs to be the one at the front getting this information. And if you haven't cleared the blue util correctly and it's late in the round, then you need to more efficiently pivot across to either dirt or the kitchen drop or find some kind of alternate route before you're taking these fights, because the lower percentage the fight, obviously the lower your chances of being able to win the round, especially when you're a player down. When you're in a 4v5 attacking into basement, to have any chance of winning the round, you need to be manipulating the defense in such a way that you're taking fights at like 80% plus win chance at least to extend any chance of getting site control. I don't think really any of those fights were in favor of them at all, and so they got the natural result. Round 2 and over to bedroom.
It's also 8 rounds straight now for LFO No Name. Be My Enemy in a do-or-die elimination game. Yet to get a round on the board. As I said before in this first half, not going to be easy on Clubhouse. They bring Goppy once again, and it probably needs to be the focus, you know, for them is, can we get this shield play to be successful? We saw LFO No Name do a really good job of that, and as we go to gym bedroom, they'll clear across. Again, a lot on offer from LFO No Name. They're playing this really conventionally. Not really offering any kind of adjustment. I mean, Clubhouse is pretty figured out these days in how all of the sites are played. But that's the beauty of it, is you know how to play it. Doesn't mean you can play it. It's early Nitrocell from Akuzo from Cash. Doesn't connect.
Well, Goppy's in the front line this time around. It's a better job on clear.
How?
Oh, you got caught.
How did that just happen?
Whoa.
Like, we didn't actually get to see the Monty POV, guys, but we get to still see some kind of POV in front of us, and I just don't know. Did he just get shot through the soft wall? Like,
I don't know.
They just got absolutely rinsed. Do we have a replay of that? I was actually about to say, funnily enough, what they did there, Be My Enemy, is actually really good. You send the Monty in to try and split off top red from Cash, so you're trying to isolate the defenders and split them off from each other. And he just goes down immediately. And then they apparently all five then just went down immediately.
No,
is it the carelessness? Is it like we saw a bit of that from Goppy actually back on Chalet with the solar play, not checking his left angle? Did he just... I don't know.
Yeah, might have just been as simple as a misclear on the stairs even. Difficult to say.
Surely not. If you're pushing top red.
I mean, I wouldn't think so, but... Well, I think structurally in the game plan there with the Monty up the front and the clearance and the isolation was, it was actually quite good, but they got sent into the meat grinder that round and did not come out of the other side better off.
I mean, that's a demoralizing round. That is a very demoralizing round.
That's probably the most demoralizing so far, just getting absolutely torn apart when it probably felt like the game plan there was one of the better that they've tried to employ so far. It completely falls apart.
It was the first flawless as well.
Yeah.
And when you're at the point now, you've lost 9 rounds straight. 7-0 in the first map, 2-0 in club. It's easy to kind of lower your head and just think, this is not happening. But if you were to bring this map in isolation, it's only 2-0 on club, and your opposing team's on defense. So this is where you've got to try and not look at the wider picture, but just actually tunnel focus in on what's happening right now. Sure, you got flawless, whatever, gym bedroom. Now you go tertiary. It's Cash on CCTV, Clubhouse, 2-0 scoreline. Be My Enemy. These are your opportunities that will make a big difference as Goppy just gets destroyed by a wonderful Nitrocell lineup from Akuzu. And then Marimo hits a wonderfully tight angle shot in response.
Yeah, maybe a slight lack of discipline there from the defense, but an equally nice shot from Marimo, who's mechanically shown some really good glimpses as to how good he may be. Midpoint of the round, a 4 versus 4. Some hard breach getting to work then on the exterior of the map for Be My Enemy. Although entry points do feel a little limited at the moment for this attacking effort. Marimo with ROUs on the sense, looking to deploy those and maybe aid on entry. He's in con currently, so Cash Plant the likely option here for the attack.
I mean, I like this from Chromomo. If they can get that door control, cut off a bit of that top red stairs position, it's certainly going to help the attack. And I say that, and he's dead. Maybe overpeaked it. And yeah, just all the trades going the way of LFO No Name. 2v3, JB63, Marimo. Marimo's hitting some good shots. He's got 3. He's on for the 8s. Winnable round. Probably their most winnable round that they've had. They are on cam, by the way. There's an Evil Eye from Maui. Marimo's gone for the push over from red. JB63 gets rid of Mugi. We might be on. Jinem is below. And this plant should be successful from Marimo. Jinem not even close to stopping it. And Be My Enemy now on the verge of getting their first round in this entire series. And they do not want to fumble this one. Jinem is just sprinting to his death. I genuinely think he must have thought both of them were outside. He must have thought that.
Maybe. I mean, fair play. You can't say he didn't try and clutch it. Well, the streak is broken. Be My Enemy finally hitting the scoreboard. Pretty good attack in the end. They didn't probably leverage the sense maybe as well as they would have liked. They lost multiple members before they could well prepare that, and there was good info gathering tools still available to the defense late round. But I think the definitive point there was in the 2v2, electing to go deep, get that plant down, and then Jin unable to deny default effectively from down below. And then even if he wins that initial fight, where he was caught sprinting, he still then has to contest the second player outside over towards Kennels. It would not have been a fun clutch attempt for him.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being
So yeah, scoreline now sits 2-1. LFO retain advantage, and the additional bans in play to be the Mirror and Habano.
I mean, yeah, I think that's actually a really good round win for them in a lot of factors. Not only do you break the streak of 9 round losses, you win the tertiary site, but you also were it was the opening death again. You were losing the trades again. Like a lot of the same fundamental issues that were plaguing Be My Enemy throughout Chalet and even to start here in Clubhouse were happening again. But this time they were able to get a really good round out of Marimo, where he picked up 3 very crucial kills, and it meant that they were never fully out of it. It was never a 2v5. It was never a 1v5. They brought it back to a 2v3. Then you get a couple more kills. Then it's a 2v1 in your favor. You get the plant down, and it can flip really quickly. Siege can play out really quickly towards the end of rounds. And they just stayed in the round just enough where it took a bit of a hero moment from Marimo. But that's a good sign that they didn't give up on the round or felt like it was happening again and just kind of lowered their heads. And now you got one on the board. You got an attacking round on the board. 3 more rounds to play out. You only really need 1 more. The game and the series is alive. Forget the first map. It's irrelevant. It's 1-2 on club. 3 opportunities to get 1 more.
Back down to basement. Habana off the board. This could make things tricky for the attack. This lineup is suggesting that we see something fairly aggressive and a snowball stack perhaps, and it's straight into the defense, but they win the first fight. Trade attempt comes through.
Well, they got sight.
Unimpactful. And there we go. The route 1 towards sight working out, and it's absolutely working out at the moment.
I mean, this is a throw from LFO No Name, and this round's done, but they tried to be too cheeky. They had 2 top floor. They were trying to play red stairs, garage, etc. They were spreading the map. Credit to Be My Enemy. They see that, and they know they can go fast towards the site and overwhelm. It is a really, really good round from Be My Enemy. Yes, it does come at the detriment of the fact that their opposition honestly trolled a little bit and showed a little bit of that disrespect, trying to play a heavy roam game, clubhouse basement, when you can just play 5 site. It's boring, but it gets the job done 90% of the time, doesn't it? Like, that's a round where LFO No Name were like, yeah, let's have a little bit of fun, do something different. Be My Enemy, to their credit though, were good enough to see that and identify the weakness and then exploit. And that's exactly what they did, and they did that really, really well. So it's a wonderful showcase in Siege, where you can win rounds where your opposition's playing well, and you can win rounds where your opposition's not playing well, but you still got to exploit that. And sometimes with the, let's say, tier 2 teams, guys, is the opposition might do something cheeky and silly, and it probably shouldn't work. And sometimes it still just works anyway because the lower end team doesn't know how to even deal with that. But in this case, the good signs for Be My Enemy is they executed that really nicely once they saw that the roam was employed.
Yeah, it was a good read, good hit. They went for the most, quite literally the shortest towards the site. Yeah, a little bit bizarre in which the defense has played that. So roam heavy, hatches open when you've banned out the Habana. You ban out the Habana for that basement side to make it very difficult to open. And sure, you can still contest to play a bit of appeal and whatever, but
it's like saying to someone, I'm going to take away the keys. You can't use your keys, but I'm going to leave the front door open. So it doesn't matter anyway. Like,
you might catch to them, but it's very risky for no reason.
Well, it's 2-2, and Be My Enemy to get their second attacking round. They get two free punches here. I mean, they're playing with house money in the last 2 rounds. Pressure's back on LFO No Name to probably knuckle back down again and heads down and get back to work. No more funny business. What you don't want to do is give a young up-and-coming team hope. And then they're playing off hope and momentum. And then suddenly the series can go from 7-0 on the first map to you're fighting for your life on the third map. It can happen pretty quickly. And then all the pressure would be on LFO No Name going into border. Because I think there probably was a small amount of pressure on Be My Enemy coming into club. Their map pick, you lose 7-0 on the first. But ultimately, they've responded really nicely in this first half, especially after losing the first 2 rounds. These are 2 very critical rounds coming up.
So can Goppy get value from the Blackbeard this round? It's into the clash, one of the hard counters for this operator, and makes that progress very much a slug. First pick goes the way of Yu. Good pick on the Azami. He's able to then filter back and escape.
Was that just a storage pick? Was it a secret window or something like that as he pushed back down blue? I think it might have been.
Yeah.
Now, Logic Bomb doesn't really do a whole lot. Allows them to kind of push into con, I guess, with Goppy on the Blackbeard. 60 seconds left. But you can already see the way that LFO No Name are playing this now. It's 5 back to site, under a minute left, 5v4. Let's get back to basics, and the basics we know will get the job done. Yeah, no one presenting, good positions, force them to have to clear, force them to have to drop, and make the difficult plays. Lovely gas babe, just a delay, one more in pocket for Maui. There's only then 30-something seconds left. Goppy needs to try and push in, help out. He needs to be pushing now. Yeah. Allow the drop.
But it's into the clash and the smoke. He does not win this. He does not win this. Unless the Yin gets really good value from that util, this is
well, then Yoshiko's
really
got to rotate out. They've got to make a decision. They're just kind of sitting around, not sure what to do. Yeah, they completely fumbled this one. Fair play to LFO No Name. They stepped back up again defensively in this round. They brought it back to far better siege fundamentals. But in that moment, when that first gas babe, well, I guess technically the second gas babe is under the hatch over towards logistics, you've got to immediately understand what's the backup plan now. They've got the clash in there. They've got the smoke watching it. We can't really push logistics. That means we're going to now be funneled through con into bedroom. That's exactly what they want. So you got to make decisions pretty quickly as to how to deal with these hurdles. And yeah, Be My Enemy, as soon as there was a semblance of pressure put back on them, they kind of crumbled in that round.
Well, it feels like a big round then to cap the half. An opportunity to equalize, but for Be My Enemy, but equally an opportunity for LFO to cement themselves a fairly strong lead and platform heading on to attack, which I, again, expect, much like Chalet, to be well-structured, well-formulated, and I think overall should be a successful half for them. So if they go in with the lead, I think the expectation will very much be for them to close out this map, probably most likely in regulation. Still got to get into that position, though, and so we prepare for CCTV for round number 6. Last time out, Be My Enemy, bedroom across. They tried to establish the ROUs on the sense to go for the execute. It did get a little bit disrupted. It was shaken a little bit. There was good information gathering as well on site for the defense. With the Maestro, also BPC in play as well. And so I think that's a factor that needs to be probably more heavily considered from Be My Enemy in this round. How do they deal with that? When you look, they've got the Kali, they've got the Maestro. That in combination may well help clearing some of this util both on the Maestro and the castle, which has extended down below. Early lurk position here. Is Jin aware? Or Mugi rather, who is the one inside of Bar? It would seem so. Nice shot. That's a good cap.
Goppy, by the way, has played Shield every single round this half. And I think what you need to get more out of him and what he needs to focus on is being far more in the early contests. The fact that Yoshiko is dead already on the Dockerby and your Blackbeard's only just now coming through Jacuzzi. There are some fundamental issues there that are very much fixable, but just some also to be highlighted. A good example of that is kind of back on Chalet for LFO No Name. It was Jinnum. He was putting on a masterclass on shield play on Chalet. Really highlights that as much as it gets memed on, guys, in terms of shields and maybe the ease of use or whatever, like at Pro League level, the differences are pretty notable.
Yeah. There's a big skill gap for sure at this level. Bandit trick successful over towards Con in the meantime, so good work there from Akuzu. And again, this is the point where it starts to feel like Be My Enemy are getting stalled out. What's the plan B? How do they open Con? Do they look to pressure elsewhere? Well, that seems to be the case with Mugi falling cash. Nice angle found. They've equalized the man count, but structurally still, what's that next step for them? Rotation elsewhere. Marimo taking the diffuser over towards Kennel's side. Okay. Maybe looking to combine here for a garage clear late. Or do they go direct site? I don't know. It still feels like they're testing out a couple of options at the moment.
Well, by getting rid of the water, and they can play more into these smokes and flashes. There goes Jidam. JB63 finding a pick. Suddenly they got the numbers advantage, but only 30 seconds left on the clock. Mao is going to tuck himself into sight. CCTV does get pinged out. We saw a similar play back on Solar in Chalet. It's happened again. Just not aware of the surroundings. The vault in, looking forward. Angle opened up on the left side as we come to a close in the half. It's 4-2 in favor of LFO, no name. Don't forget to vote on the groovy tunes of the halftime break. That was nice. I like that. That's a good little halftime vibe. Very light, very mellow. I like it. A response though from LFO No Name after a short reprieve where Be My Enemy were able to get 2 rounds in a row. But as soon as they acquired those 2 rounds, and certainly the second one off the back of a bit of silliness from LFO No Name, they locked in, got back to work, and closed out the half 4-2. The bands will be Habana, Dockerby, Kaid, and Mirror.
Yeah, here's a replay package of round 6. Bit of a seesaw at the opening portion of the round, but Maui was the defining factor. Was able to sneak into that corner position with no one on vent window, and the Kennel Repel in a blind spot. He was able to mow down a couple, and in doing so, help confirm this advantage now in favor of LFO No Name. They lead by 2 rounds as we enter the second half, and straight down to basement we go. I have high expectations on LFO's attacks based on what we saw in Chalet. Their ability to systematically break down the defense was really strong, and I think we're going to hopefully get nice insight as to whether or not that will be the case here on Club. with basement, it's a really difficult site to find those isolations, and we'll see how they go about trying to achieve that. The bans for the second half as well, it will be Hibana, Lockerbie, Kaid, and Mirror.
I mean, yeah, this is going to be the big test now, because you go defense, you're fighting for your survival and kickoff. Your opponent's 3 rounds away from knocking you out. So the pressure's on, obviously. They know that they're going to have to play probably default Siege. They can't try and do too much. And back on Chalet, they kept it pretty default as well. And the biggest issue was maybe it was a little too default, in fairness. They had no signs of aggression on Chalet. They weren't playing the windows. They weren't denying entry positions. They weren't looking to fight until they had already lost someone. Clubhouse will, of course, naturally just play out structurally very different. A bit of shenanigans, though, in this first round. And talk about the aggression. Well, it's maybe a little too much. They're running around the map a little too freely, but it does net them the opening kill, courtesy of Marimo, over towards Kitchen. I mean, that's a decent start. You know what? Sometimes you do have to throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, I don't hate it. One of their biggest vices on Chalet was playing so passive at the start, allowing that first pick against them, and then they would enter aggression mode when it was too late. Although, LFO have responded by taking the pocket of space over to towards blue in the meantime, so they've responded really well on attack, given themselves room. The Snake can feed information now to the rest of the attack, and I actually really like this pivot. As long as they can get Diffuser now towards site, they're in such a strong spot.
Oh, a shot from Yoshiko. Very good headshot. And Maui responds with the kill on to Kuromomo. Yoshiko's going to hold the angle here inside of Church. 1 player advantage now for LFO No Name. Add in the fact they've got the Blackbeard. He's putting the plant down. That's Jinem in Arsenal. Over towards blue. Maui. Jinem did get denied the ability to get that plant. Doesn't lose his life. Good headshot reaction from Maui. Was exquisite. Jinem got off plant. Got the last kill. 5-2 lead for LFO. 2 rounds away from booking their place further in the lower bracket and sending Be My Enemy home.
Yeah, that was one of the more dynamic rounds we've seen, where I think both teams actually played quite well in respective moments there. I like the aggression early. We saw the defense get active instead of playing passive and allowing the attack of LFO to get that early kill. They were the ones that started to dominate, but then they got a little bit lazy just for a split second there on site. Didn't probably calculate the blue push that eventually followed there from LFO. And whilst even that then momentarily got stalled out, and they weren't able to get the plant down, they then went into sort of a plan B situation, which was let's isolate the solos. Then Jinem was able to send forward and find the second pick over towards the Arsenal position, and they were able to confirm the round. So yeah, good ebbs and flows, but ultimately in favor of LFO, continuing that strength on attack that we have seen so far today.
And again, like, I think there's elements to that round where you can find the positives for Be My Enemy. I like the fact that they actually were like, you know what, we probably can't just play 5-stack basement. Although I'm going to be honest, that's probably the one site, one round where you probably should be actually just playing 5-stack basement. But at least they tried something, and there was a little bit of success to it. They got the opening kill through Marimo, and pretty early into the round. But this is the thing, is about understanding then the next step. You get that opening pick. Don't then double down around that first floor. You got to then bring all 5 back to side immediately. Make it 5-on-4. Make them have to push with the disadvantaged numbers into basement. And they just didn't do that quick enough or well enough.
So the Kali in play for round 8. You can use this to leverage some U2 clearance, although you're looking across at the lineup, it might be a little limited. We'll wait and see. Map clearance likely to be the option here for LFO. And a somewhat aggressive hold in through Con then from Be My Enemy, who have already forfeited cash side. They'll need to be mindful of the Logi drop in the meantime, and the pressure that could come from some of the long angles outside from the Kali as well. The tuck position committed to here by Kuromomo. And in the meantime, a potential pivot here from the attack might elect to try and find hard breach potential elsewhere. There's still secondaries available for Maui. Final Salmor as well deployed by Jin. Don't discount the impact of the nitros here from the defense. One preset below. Goppy with a second in hand on the two barrel.
I mean, not to be rude, but Goppy's had 1 kill in 2 maps. Would have to be a pretty good nitrous cell. Maybe he can find his second kill here in the 8th round. LFO No Name are very much clearly setting up for this here. They can get Akusu through Con as well. He could honestly, on the Kali, be playing this balcony position, but they're already kind of stacked with numbers. I imagine this is just kind of the preset setup from LFO. They'll rotate out. Akusu, I don't know where he's really going. He's on the roaming Kali down over towards Lounge. 40 seconds left in the round. This is where I'd want the Kali to be out on that balcony looking in towards gym and bedroom. May not matter. Mao has just gone and found 2 quick kills anyway. He's in sight. He's just walked into sight, got 3 kills. The round is done. It's as simple as that. And then the roaming Kali does find a kill. It's flawless. It's 6-2. And the ruthlessness edge of LFO No Name has come to the forefront well and truly in this matchup, as they've got 4 match and series points.
Oh, they look so good on attack today. Been very, very, very clean. CCTV and Cash potentially to cap it off here. 4 opportunities in regulation, and I don't really foresee the match going for too much longer. They've come out of the gate so strong today. I've really enjoyed their attacks especially, and I think that's why I wasn't too concerned about that sort of the map veto or the style of the maps remaining after Chalet, because I saw the fundamentals on Chalet were so clean and should be transferable, and I think we've got some good insight that is very much the case. As for Be My Enemy, let's see if they can maybe show a little bit more fight here. Quite an interesting sort of experimental composition from them in this round. They'll bring the castle, and it seems like that's going to be invested down below horizontally, so that's an interesting addition. Might be in an attempt to disrupt a potential Deimos, for instance, which was at least initially teased. Maybe some kind of playthrough secret, etc. And Scopos also to be deployed, and Karamomo given the license probably to play Garage Rafters with that shell.
Well, pretty much running out of positives for Be My Enemy. I think the writing's on the wall. 7-0 on Chalet, 6-2 here on Club. They will have certainly learned a lot from their first foray in Pro League. Question is, of course, what they've been able to take away from that and how they can take those learnings and actually apply improvement. But you would imagine this one is very quickly going to be over. Credit to LFO No Name. They had a job to do in this matchup. They know they've got bigger fish to fry later today against Scars. Akusu with a powerhouse performance in the series. 22-6, 5-1 on the entry. A 166 EPS, a 93% cost in the 2 maps played. Absolute standout MVP.
DPU still being laid here. But they just try and send it in the breach. I feel like they want to. Maybe even plant tuck hard right here. Could be a potential Capitale utility to follow.
It's 2 down below. I mean, you got Goffy and Lobby. Yeah, and JB63 was just sitting stock, but it's meant the site is vulnerable. The plan's about to go down. It's confirmed. They've just completely given up plan. Even though it's a 4v5, they get the opening kill, and it was a decent little lurk over towards stock. You've now got to play retake, and you've got to clear outside. JB63, though, gets through to Akusu. Well, the 2 heavy hitters for LFO No Name have been eliminated. A big round from JB63. There's the run out. That's a good shot from Mugi to control that recall from that distance on the upside down rappel. Flames out. And then he just goes for the swing. Felt like I think the pressure got to him. Jinum on the Monty. We got a big Monty play. Well, there's the headshot onto Koromomo. No one on the kit just yet. Guard break. Turnaround. Lovely play from Jinum. But he gets double swiped. Good pinch. And Be My Enemy survive a little bit longer.
Oh, close. Only about 3 seconds in it. But they're able to get the job done. It was a pretty precarious looking defense with the double commit below, no plant denial attempt, landing. The tuck plant was the right play, but it left them a little vulnerable there in the post. Maui would love to have this one over if he commits to that and gives his team the advantage. It could have played out quite differently. Good coverage there onto UU. He was in an exposed position. He was forced to reposition. He dies. And then Jin in a 1 versus 3. Goppy does really well there to support his teammate. If given the opportunity to isolate that first pick, Goppy would have been in a world of hurt in a straight 1v1 with that little time remaining. So good work from him. And it's now down to 3 strikes.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think that's a good... You don't want to get eliminated 7-0, 7-1, or 7-2 or whatever. At least like they've showed a bit of that fight. The game got away from them. Goes to a 6-2 margin. Very easy to just think, yeah, okay, this one's done. We're finished here. But they didn't give up in that previous round. Solid play from JB63. Church and Arsenal. It's a fair chance if they actually do just now play 5-site here that they could get a 4th round on the board and give themselves what would be still a minor lifeline. Double shield play for LFO No Name.
Bomb located by attackers.
Okay, well, let's see how this one pans out. It's looking like it's going to be a fairly anchor-heavy setup outside of the scope post here, I envision, for the defense. And then the decision-making for LFO will be, is it a full map clear commit? Do we go for something alternate? Habana banned out. They only have the ace as primary hard breach, and then the secondaries from UU, so that's something to keep in mind. One somewhat already invested over towards dirt, and so only a limited number of hatches now that can be opened. I think that may have been a double commit from Maui onto the kitchen hatch, and so be looking to track that throughout the round. Uncontested currently top floor is this scope post. A little bit of information perhaps gathered there, but Jinham has already been able to commit pretty deep inside of dirt. And that will keep those inside of Arsenal honest here and trying to slow down this Monty's progression.
Minute 45 on the clock. This is exactly what you want if you be my enemy. Foresight, the scope pulse can stay logistic, can transfer back to the other shell, or maybe even go for a kill on the roam. Jin wanting to push dirt. Mugi can then push. I think honestly, blue side push wouldn't be too bad here. Double shield push, one from dirt, one from blue. Might be the setup for LFO No Name. Indeed, Mugi has rotated towards blue stairs. Has now droned it out. And this is going to be the backside push that they're going to look for. By the way, Yoshiko has roamed now on the Scopos. He's main stairs. But there's no one actually main stairs because it's a dirt blue push.
Well, 60 seconds to go on the clock. Yu takes a massive chunk of damage. He falls. So the Capital off the board. That will significantly hamper the amount of utility remaining for this attack. And I don't know if a Mugi stack blue here is going to be the play. Might not be many options left though. Scopos inside of stock. Okay, that's an okay clear. 4-4, 40 seconds.
If they lost to Kuzu at the same time, this is very, very winnable. Oh, Komomo not aware of the oil pit drop though. Tried to stay tucked in on the blue side to maybe catch someone off guard, pushing down from Secret. Marimo, good trade onto Mugi, shuts down the Blackbeard. Jinham's still up, and he's the only one still up as Goppy has gotten another kill. Be my enemy, get another round. And a little come on from Goppy. Okay, 4-6. Not done yet, and still a ways to go. But at the very least now, from here on out, whatever happens, can you be my enemy? Aren't going to go down without a whimper. They've fought themselves back, but still work to be done.
So a tactical timeout in response from LFO No Name. I like this timing. They'll wait for the basement site to lapse. That's naturally going to be the most difficult site to attack into, and then they can fire this opportunity to talk for the top floor, where naturally they should be able to find a little bit more success. I don't think they played horrendously bad in that last site. A lot of those teething issues were basement specific, especially when you consider the bans that are in play. It does limit a lot of the options and the kind of rotates and mid-round adaptations that you can actually deploy. Probably could have been a little bit snappier in their decision making, maybe try to support Dirt a little bit more, but they won't be too focused about that. All the discussion would have been about this top floor. How do they get the job done? It's Gym Bedroom up next. It's 40 seconds to go in this round. Let's go best off the bar. That was dealt with. It looked okay. 3 versus 3 with a good rotate for Maui. But Marimo with some good anchor work site. Bit of util going astray there, and Gopi allowed to capitalize. Jin, again, the last one standing on the Monty. That's been a trend that we've seen established a little bit, where Jin's being left alone and on an island on that shield blade, and probably not getting as much value as you would like. So we'll see if they can change that up here heading into round 11.
10 seconds to go.
3 of the last 4 rounds, they've been able to get the opening kills as well. I mean, we're starting to see that you play more games, you play more rounds, you start to learn, you start to grow. It might be a case of too little too late for Be My Enemy, but signs of life for the future going into stage 1. But what a story it would be if they can claw it back from 7-0 Chalet, 2-6 Club, and bring it to a 3rd map. I mean, that would be some story in itself. And they got the opportunity. You're a defense club, 2 more rounds to go. Sure, you don't have access to basement, but Gym Bedroom, cash, and CCTV, more than viable. And they're just looking like they're playing a little bit more proactive, a bit more on the front foot, happy to take fights, not being scared of the opposition. And maybe it's a case of just kind of throwing the caution to the wind, knowing, well, if we don't do something, we're just going to get knocked out.
Alright, so Kuzu lurking down below on the Deimos. That should introduce a vertical dimension later in the round. Can be a good dislodge against this defense. Does, though, need to be careful of this lurk down below. Pool table from the Solace. And some info gathered outside of that Jacuzzi breach. Feels like the attack is starting to constrict pretty quickly in this round. The hard breach has been rather successful. I quite like the addition of the Thermite this round. It's proven very efficient, especially into that Bandit and Kaid ban combination. And so the next step really will be to layer this utility. UU, 4 Kane Dallas, Akuzi still yet to deploy Deathmark. He might be able to isolate the Solace as well down below. And I think once this flame extinguishes, we probably will see the Ghost Switch from LFO. I'll just have to wait out a little bit more utility before they're able to spearhead here through Jacuzzi. There's the first pick, though. It's Jacuzzi below. That's the Solace below. Dealt with it. Frees up main stairs. That's dangerous for the defense.
Yeah, you got main stairs, Jacuzzi, plus balcony where the Kindles can get thrown in from you, along with the smokes.
Now. Oh,
yeah, they got everything. They've got to hit this shot, and that's the moment. And he does get the kill for JV63. Can't turn around, get the second onto Jidam. Good entry from the Blackbeard. And this might be the end of Be My Enemy. Mugi thinking about the plant, got off it temporarily. Koromomo by himself. Well, they fought back. They've saved face. Their first experience in Pro League coming from Challenger Series for Be My Enemy. As the plant goes down in a 1v3 for Koromomo, he is trapped in the corner and it all comes to an end. They certainly would have taken a lot of learnings from their first foray in Kickoff, but it does come to an end at the hands of LFO No Name.
Yeah, good win overall, and I think what has developed into a pretty good warm-up for their eventual match against Scars later tonight. And so an opportunity for them to kind of put their feet up, relax, maybe do a bit of a review and a discussion for that match coming forward. But they got the job done, and it was done in a confident fashion, very much deserving of that victory.
And we're going to get to have a very short interview with Mugi coming up very soon as well. So we'll get to chat with LFO No Name. We won't probably keep them too long, guys. I'm sure going to spend some time doing prep work, of course, for the series, as you mentioned, later today against Scars, which should be a good one. I mean, fundamentally, when LFO No Name was switched on in this series, they were very, very good, very clinical. I think some of the round losses that they did have on Clubhouse, because they had none on Chalet, probably to some degree their own doing, just playing a little bit more lackadaisical, opening up things. But I would say at the 2-6 scoreline, when we got to 2-6, that's when those next 2 rounds, Be My Enemy, I thought actually just played really well. And it was not as much to do with what LFO No Name were doing themselves. So when you kind of take that into account, there's maybe 2 rounds that they got outplayed across the 2 maps. That's a pretty good strike rate.
Yeah, pretty good. Just overall, I think in all facets, attack and defense especially, they were not showing massive weaknesses on one side or the other. In fact, I'd probably go as far as to say that their attacks overall were even better. So I think if they can apply pressure early in that Scars matchup, I don't know. I just feel like there could be something in it.
All right, we're going to go and have a very short chat with Mugi from LFO No Name. Mugi, congratulations on the victory. Not the most difficult game in the end for you guys, but still one that you needed to do, and maybe very quickly, because you've got another series later today against Scars.
Yeah. First, we have a little bit nervous, but we won. But so with versus Scars, we can win, I think.
Okay, I'm very excited. Are you guys confident against Scars? Do you think it's going to be a close game, or do you think it's going to be very hard?
Maybe close game, I think.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah. For the future of this team, Mugi, obviously it's not just kickoff, it's stage 1, it's stage 2, it's the whole year. Is that something that you guys keep in mind with something like kickoff, where it's just about finding improvement and just slowly getting better throughout the year?
So we think don't care enemy, and just we do yeah, it's
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the opposition, just focus on yourself. That's a good way to frame it. Yugi, I'll let you
focus on the skills.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'll let you go, because obviously you've got, I'm sure, some preparation to do for Scars later today. Best of luck, and hopefully we can chat to you later at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much to Mugi for coming on. It's obviously never easy when English is not your first language, but he gave it a good crack. And I mean, honestly, we got the gist of it, guys, which was pretty simple, and it's an old adage in sports in general. Don't worry about what the opposition's doing. We're just focusing on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of mindset, if employed correctly against Scars, will be very, very, very effective. So again, I don't want to overhype that match too much, because there probably is a world in which Scars can run away and be dominant, but I can't help but shake the feeling with how well LFO played today and the confidence I think that they're able to build. Those systems, if it can translate across and they're able to be effective over the course of the next few hours, take a break, take a rest, and then lock back in, I hope and I really do feel like it can potentially be a close best of 3.
Well, don't go too far. It is rolling schedule. We're going to go to a short break, but when we do come back, CAG D+, we head to the upper bracket to see who can book their place in the upper bracket final.